you've got a lot of work to do. Like Paul
Shout out
here
to
with
Paul.
the firearms. But no, you've got a lot of work to do this offseason, and they had a lot of work to do to begin with, and now they've just got even more work to do, right? And it's also just adding on to the what ifs. Like you've got to rely now on one of these what ifs to pan out. Like if Luis Ortiz doesn't pan out, if Roansy Contreras doesn't pan out, if Quinn Priester doesn't pan out, if Bailey Falter doesn't pan out, which he probably isn't, right? But if we keep going down this list and none of those guys pan out, you're still going to acquire at least 2 starting pitchers this offseason. That was the original plan. You're probably going to acquire a third, but it's going to be like he's not going to excite anybody. It's just going to be some guy with a functioning arm, basically. And then you're left with another rotation spot that you need to get filled with one of those guys. And you can't trust any of them. And we're going into 2024, and the expectation is 2024 we're going to compete and we're going to be good. Like that's the expectation. And right now, I don't see how it's going to happen.
Tyler?
And it's ugly right now. Coming into this year, we, like Jim said, we're looking at maybe adding 2 arms. Now, I really do think if the Pirates are looking to compete next year, you're looking at 4 arms that you really have to add, or you're really counting on some guys that are very much unproven. I think it gives a little bit of an opportunity to some of the arms that we've talked about a lot of times, but at the same time, they're in a bad spot right now pitching-wise. And Jim already mentioned the new article. It really is more damning on the Pirates that they're in this position right now. Losing a Johan Oviedo shouldn't be that big of a deal. It should be like last year when they lost JT Brubaker. It was okay, that sucks, but those innings would have mattered. Next year, you're going into a year where you're hoping to compete. Now, there's a lot of work to be done, man.
Yeah, and I think the reason this hurts a little bit more than JT Brubaker issue, I mean, obviously the lack of depth, right? I mean, we're aware of that, right? But Oviedo has some upside. We're talking about him as a number 4 pitcher, but there was a lot of stuff that we liked about him. You say number 4 because that's what you're comfortable with, but he could outperform that. And that's why you look at next year and say, like, you could compete, because if you get another legit starter, you already have Mitch Keller, Skeens is coming. If Oviedo can take that step, like, that could be 4 actually like really good pitchers. So like that's why it hurts some more too, is because you looked at Oviedo as like a floor number 4. Like you plan that way to be safe. You build your rotation around that, but he could play up and be even better. So you're looking to compete. There's your rotation to compete with. Now that he's out, I mean, damn the depth. We already know that's a problem, but you're losing actual upside that is going to be hard to find in free agency as well. Like, you have to pay for that. You had that already on your roster. So like that's why it hurts a little more to me. But also, like you're saying, it is this, like, we're into year 5 right now in this rebuild. And right, Tyler and Jim, it is a problem that Johan Oviedo is going to have possible Tommy John surgery this year, because there's nothing else to finish it. You have one pitcher, and it's Mitch Keller, a holdover who took you 37 years to figure out. So are you sure they're going to figure out the rest of the guys also? Like, that's why it's such a problem. You have Mitch Keller. There is not one pitcher from the Cherington era that you're penciling in with the most erasable, whatever, ink, not charcoal. Where they use pencil, graphite. I don't even remember these days. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't. It's Mitch Keller, and I don't know.
Yeah, and it's disappointing because you have a lot of high hopes for next year. And I think you'll gain some depth around midseason, right? Because you will have Brubaker will be hopefully back mid-year. You'll have Mike Burrows back like mid-year. Paul Skeens hopefully ready mid-year. Jared Jones hopefully ready soon. So you've got these guys, but like none of those guys I just named should you count on for anything next year. Like none of them. I really like Jared Jones. I really like Paul Skeens. I think JT Brubaker is a fine depth pitching option in the major leagues, but coming off of Tommy John surgery, those two guys are going to be making their major league debuts. Like you can't count on any of those guys. So if your goal is truly to compete in 2024, all those guys we just named, you shouldn't be counting on them. Those are guys where, hey, you know what? If they come in and they impress you, then maybe those are all guys who need to play their way into the rotation. And the only way that's going to happen is if you go out there and you find 4 guys. And I just don't see it happening. Don't see it happening. They can maybe get creative and trade for somebody. They can go out there and sign some free agents, but we're already seeing like the big boys who are going to spend a lot of money. They all want starting pitching this offseason too. So like good luck trying to fill that rotation with any top 5 starting pitcher out there. Like they're gone. Just write them off. Maybe even stretch it to like top 10. Those guys are all going to get paid a lot of money because there's a need for pitchers like that. And the Pirates haven't really shown the ability or the want to invest in starting pitching like that. Like we haven't seen. When was the last time we saw a multi-year deal to a starting pitcher?
Was it
in free agency? In free agency, let's just say free agency. I don't know.
Trying to
he
think.
was technically a free agent then, right?
Was it Liriano?
I mean, technically, yeah, he was.
Liriano got like a 2-year deal or
they
something.
Just re-signed that was a 3-year 39, right?
Yeah, but like he had been there for 2 years.
Yeah, so
right, but like technically he was a free agent. But
yeah,
that's still like, we're talking about way back then.
Yeah,
right.
Like I mean, we haven't seen Ben Cherington has not signed a starting pitcher to more than a 1-year deal. I don't think.
No.
So you're now going into territory where, like, if you want one of these good starting pitchers, you've got to do that. Yeah. You mentioned earlier, like, there's a reason, and this was just in our group chat, but we sign these 1-year deals. Pitchers only get 1-year deals if they're bad. Good pitchers.
Can you say that a little louder, Jim? You kind of
yeah. Pitchers get 1-year deals because they're bad. Good pitchers get multi-year deals because there's a lot of teams who want them. If you want to be good next year, you're going to have to dish out multi-year deals to pitchers. And we haven't seen them do it yet. I don't know if they're willing to do it. They have. They're capable of doing it. It's just a matter of, are they going to actually make the investment?
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.